all to the Pick It Up. It's more like a dream come true because we have been planning for this contest for a very long time, but unfortunately it didn't happen. But here we are, and I'm so thrilled to listen to each of your speeches. Talking about Amrita Toastmasters Club, to me it has been a world of opportunities where I can battle my fears, talk confidently, control my anxiety, and explore my inner self. I hope one day it will be the same for you. Toastmasters International is a non-profit education organization that teaches public speaking and leadership skills through a worldwide network of clubs. Let me first begin by stating the mission of Toastmasters International. The mission is to provide a mutually supportive and positive learning environment in which every individual member has the opportunity to develop oral communication and leadership skills, which in turn fosters self confidence and personal growth. Toastmasters International's core values are integrity, dedication to excellence, service to the member, and respect for the individual. And moving on to the rules, number one, there should be no talk about sex, religion, and politics. Number two, the speaker should keep their video and audio on. The audience can keep their video on, but their mic should be off. I kindly request all of you to follow the rules. I hope all are prepared for the great contest and rest are excited like me to hear some rousing speeches by our contestants. And finally, I'm so happy to introduce our contest chair, Toastmaster Hari Prashant, who's the most charming, sincere, and enthusiastic member of our club. He is currently pursuing second year aerospace engineering, and his hobbies are playing chess, painting, and solving Rubik cubes. Over to you.
Thank you, Sergeant at Arms Toastmaster Fuja, for setting the rules and introducing me. Welcome to the Pick It Up contest. Pick It Up is a prepared speech contest and impromptu speech contest conducted by Amrita Toastmasters Club annually by Amrita Vishwa Vidyapeetham, Coimbatore. It's a contest for students to refresh the art of speaking. It's a free stage to showcase their talents in impromptu and prepared speech. There are two contests. Number one, Tall Tales, where speakers are expected to engage the audience through a 3 to 5 minutes long fictional story of highly exaggerated, improbable nature upon a chosen topic. Number two, Table Topics. Speakers are expected to deliver on-the-spot speech of minimum 1 minute on a given topic. We have two amazing judges with us. First, we have Mrs. Shubha Menon ma'am, Academics and International Program Officer of Amrita Vishwa Vidyapeetham, Coimbatore, to judge Tall Tales contest. And Toastmaster Gautami, past Vice President of Amrita Toastmasters Club, to judge Table Topics contest. Amrita Toastmasters Club has always inspired students to pursue public speaking and leadership skills. It's a world of opportunities for you to join. Now let me hand over the stage to our ever enthusiastic club president, Toastmaster Bhavesh, to share his views. Over to you, Bhavesh.
Okay, thank you, Hari Prashant. I hope you guys already saw me for such a long time explaining what needs to be done. So I'm the president of the club, and effectively, as you guys can see, what we do in the club is public speaking and leadership skills. You would have seen so many of us doing conducting the meeting for such a long time through the WhatsApp group, helping you guys register yourself, and also instructing you guys on how to present a speech, what can be done to give a better speech. So this is what we do in Toastmasters every weekend. So every weekend you can join, improve your skills on both public speaking and leadership in a way that we all are doing right now. I have developed, my friends here have developed, and I believe you can develop too. So have a fun contest, and if you guys have anything else to ask, feel free to do so. Thank you, and over to Toastmaster Hari Prashant.
Thank you, Toastmaster Bhavesh. We also have two passionate contest masters, Toastmaster Kaushalya for Tall Tales and Toastmaster Malavika for Table Topics. Now we hand over the stage to Tall Tales contest master, Toastmaster Kaushalya, to brief the instructions. Over to you, Toastmaster Kaushalya.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Hari Prashant. Before I give the instructions, I welcome you all the Toastmasters, guests, and all the enthusiastic participants who come up to participate in the contest. I welcome you all to the Pick It Up of 2022. So what is the Tall Tales contest? So this is going to be a speech for 3 to 5 minutes, and I hope you all registered through a link giving your topics and everything. So you'll be presenting a speech from 3 to 5 minutes. And the time, I request all the contestants to pin your timers pin the timer to your screen so that you keep a track of your timing. So the timer will be changing the timer cards, so which are actually shown to indicate your timing so that you don't exceed or exceed your timings. So at 4 minutes, they'll be showing a green card. Timer, can you just change the timer card so that, yes. So at 4 minutes, you'll be shown a green card. At 4 minutes, 30 seconds, a yellow card. And at 5 minutes, you'll be shown a red card. So then you'll be given a buffer time of 30 seconds. That's 2 minutes, 30 seconds and 5 minutes, 30 seconds. So the buffer time is also given. And the judging criteria are not based on your timings. So you can feel free to present your a speech in whatever time you want to do. And so that is all about the contest. I wish all the contestants all the very best. And when I call out the contestants, I will be calling them by their name, the speech title. So I will call contestant ABC, their speech title, and then they will be presenting it. So that is it all about the contest. And I wish all of you all the very best for your contest. And that is it. Over to Toastmaster Hari Prashant.
Thank you, Toastmaster Kaushalya. Now I hand over the stage to Table Topics Contest Master, Toastmaster Malavika, to brief the instructions. Okay, Malavika.
Thank you, Toastmaster Hari Prashant. Am I audible? Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Great. Good evening, everyone. So first of all, straight into the question: what is a table topics contest? What is table topics? So if you are familiar with table topics, you will know that it has quite a mischievous reputation among Toastmasters, but that's nothing to be worried of. It's actually the most fun session in a Toastmasters meeting. And we at Amrita Toastmasters Club, we are always double the fun, so we do it twice. And so today we'll have a session of table topics, and I'm Malvika Kumar. I'll be your contest chair. Now, table topics are essentially 1 to 2 minute speeches. So you will have one to 2 minutes to present a short speech on the topic that I'll be giving you. Now, for the timing criteria, now this you can see that Toastmaster Priyadarshini is our timer, and she currently has a blue screen on. The blue screen is when your time is not being recorded. At 1 minute, your a green card will be displayed. At 1.5 minutes, that's 1 minute 30 seconds, you'll have a yellow card. And at 2 minutes, you will have the red card. Of course, 30 seconds buffer time will be there. So this is the timing criteria. Please make sure you pin the timer. Once I call you onto the stage to start speaking, I will remind you once more to pin the timer, but it's good if, well and good if you can do it earlier so you don't have to be worried about it when you're on stage speaking. Once we are in the room, I'd expect everyone to have their videos on, but please make sure that your audios are all off so that you don't want to interrupt the speaker when they are speaking. Also, when I announce the contestant, you will be announced with your name, your very unique code, your code again, and then your name. And when I announce you, please make sure that you take your speaking position, how you want to speak. If you want to do it sitting, you can do it sitting. Or if you want to do it standing, you can do it standing. But that is all. And yeah, I hope all of you have a fun session. And over to Toastmaster Hari Prashant.
Thank you, Toastmaster Malavika. We'll be having tall tales in the main room and table topics in the breakout room. Participants will have sufficient time to relax and join for the next contest. Let's begin the contest. Over to you, Toastmaster Kaushalya.
Toastmaster Hari Prashant will take 1 minute for everybody to join the breakout room and split accordingly.
Sure.
So at the end of 1 minute, I'll make an announcement so that Toastmaster Malavika and Toastmaster Kaushalya can start the respective contests accordingly.
I'm not able to see the option for breakout rooms. Is it fine if you can explain it?
Miss Aruna, wait.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, Arun, I think I'll alert you. It's not an issue. I'll alert you.
Yeah, sure. Thank you.
Actually, even for me, I'm not able to read.
Wait a
Yeah.
minute.
Same
Wait a
over
minute.
here.
Please. Give it a minute. Give it a minute. I'll call out names who needs to be assigned. If there are people who will stay in this meeting also, so I'll give an announcement. So please calm yourselves down. Toastmaster Gautami, did you get any prompt to reach the breakout room?
Unfortunately, I did not. My internet connection went wonky a bit and I came back here.
Okay, no worries. I'll add you guys to the room.
Okay,
So,
thank
okay,
you.
apart from Toastmaster Gautami, is there anybody else who'll have to leave this room? Can anybody else confirm if you are only participating in table topics contest?
Yeah, I am participating in
I
table.
am participating.
Okay. Wait a
I'm
minute.
participating in both of them, so
Can the ones who's participating only in table topics contest who are still in the main room please raise your hand? Wait a minute. Give me a minute. Okay. Toastmaster Gautami, you've been assigned. You'll be moved in a few seconds. Toastmaster Kaushalya, feel free to start the contest. Others, please don't lower your hands. You will be moved out to the room soon. Toastmaster Kaushalya.
Yes, Pavish. Thank you.
And also, please confirm the presence of the judge once in a while, all right?
Yeah. Okay, so I hope all the contestants of the Tall Tales contest are here. So, shall we begin the contest now?
yeah.
Yeah. Greetings, everyone. So, it's time to begin the contest. So, without any delay, let's begin the contest with the first contestant. Contestant number 1, Abhyagni B. Abhyagni B, contestant number 1. A 75-year-old woman. A 75-year-old woman, Abhyagni B.
Yeah, good evening, namaskaram everyone. I'm Abhyagni and I'm beginning my speech. It was September 18, 2021, 2 days before my maternal grandmother's 75th birthday. As much as she was quite often depressed on the fact that her sister had passed away a few months ago, we all thought to give her a rejuvenation jab filled with fluoride. So we have decided to make her birthday as a 3-day destination program at Andaman and Nicobar Islands, and we have booked our flight tickets accordingly. So 2 days before her birthday, we started on a flight. The plan was to reach Rameswaram by evening and then take a boat and then go to Andaman and Nicobar Islands. But as the plans go, the flight was full and two of us had still to board the flight. My granny told that she was fine coming by the train, so it was decided that me and my granny take by the train. So that evening we have started from the train, and by night we have reached the Vindhya Mountains. Suddenly we had an announcement saying that due to some technical difficulty, the train had to station there for a few hours. Now the train would reach Rameswaram by evening. As we have all had our dinners, we started exchanging our talks. As none of us were feeling sleepy, we thought to stroll by. So we just descended from the train and we started hiking in the mountains. It was dark and clear on the moonlight, and we started going deeper and deeper into the forest. Soon we lost our way. But as we started our ascent, my grandmother's she started feeling very calm and she felt better. She felt as if she knew this place from a very long time. And within a few moments, we were completely out of phone signals. I had a 75-year-old woman to look after, and all I had was a stick and a clear moonlight. My grandmother just smiled to me and just took me along. And at a distance, we were able to see a cowherd grazing with his cows. The place where my granny was standing was shining in a purple color. The entire hill was shining in purple color. So when the cowherd saw this, he came running to my granny and he fell at her legs, saying that, Lakshmi, it's so long that I've seen you. Both of them exchanged talks, and then I knew that Lakshmi, who was my grandmother, had been often coming to this place. Then when they were chatting, I just went there and I was wandering here and there, just strolling by to see the mountain. Nayaka, who was the cowherd, told to my grandmother that Mahodara is back from the time sphere, and now if he is not stopped, he would invade this hill and completely destroy the present presiding time. Oh, hold on, I've got lot many doubts here. Who's Mahodara? What's the time crystal? How do you know my granny? I started asking to the cowherd. My grandmother replied, smiling to me, Nayaka, I assume we have half an hour before Mahodara invades the hill. You explain things to my grandson while I go take a bath and come back. And saying so, she disappeared and went into the darkness. Nayaka approached me and told that, son, your grandmother might look like a 75-year-old woman to you right now, but once she and her elder sister were the protectors of this time crystal and a timeline. Our Guruji had presidingly Sattvic Guna in him, due to which he was able to protect the time crystal. Your grandmother and her sister used to come here every day for months and years together to meditate, and they have soon mastered all the sorts of meditation skills and yogic skills, due to which they were able to harness the power of the time sphere and the time crystal. Gaining this trust from our Guruji, he gave them the chant and the power of wielding the spear. That's great, sir. But who is Mahodara and why does he want to seek this crystal? Mahodara was a seeker of the crystal, as you have already said, told Nayaka. He had a lot of tamas guna, due to which he wanted to grab this crystal so that he can maintain his power and balance in this universe. Using that crystal, he wanted to create multiple possible alternate realities, which would again result in a bunch of nasty consequences that can destroy this present timeline. Such is the power of a crystal. As long as Guruji was there, we were able to protect the crystal and this hill. But now when he's gone, it was very difficult for us when he attacked us last time. As a daring move, your grandmother had already attacked him once and was able to capture him under her power. But now he is but now due to his enormous power, Mahodara has already broke open the crystal, and it's now very difficult for us to stop him. As a ray of hope, your grandmother has come. Knowing all this, my grandmother just went into the sacred waterfall and just took a bath. Due to that mystical power of the waterfall, she was able to transform herself into a 25-year-old lady. She came back and she has summoned her entire weapons, her armor, and a chariot and a horse, which was again given to her by her Guruji. With all these tech things, she was shining bright in yellow, dazzling flame, full of supreme and divine radiance. She came out of the cave. Nayaka, on the other hand, was feeling dejected of my grandmother's elder sister, whose name is Mallikamba's untimely demise. My grandmother entirely stormed into him and asked him, Nayaka, why are you staying down like this? She was an able warrior. She was a very good warrior. But now she's gone. And that is the law of nature. Don't you remember what did she tell us when we were on the battlefield? Uttishtha, wake up, kartavyam daivamanhikam. That is, work is God. Now, your dejection and your refusal to fight and take up arms would only insult her. Would you do that? Would you do that to a teacher who taught you how to wield arms and how to protect our righteousness and our dharma? These were the questions that my grandmother had asked. With this motivation, Nayaka got up, and with his powers, he had turned his cows into human-made warriors, and we now were ready to fight. With her mystical sword, my grandmother had harnessed the power of the moonlight and gave me a proper armor to which I can fight, and had given me the knowledge of a few basic weapons. Now, these were her orders. Abhi, march down with 10 soldiers to the bottom of the hill and make sure that the hill is protected from the bottom. No soldier of Mahodara shall invade the hill at any cost from its entrance. Hail, Mother Goddess, was my reply, and we went down. Meanwhile, we felt that something was coming. Wind started blowing faster, gales started going stronger, and then the fierce and dark man had appeared, and he is Mahodara. Due to his intense tamasic guna, he was able to harness and he was able to bring an entire army out of winds, gales, and ferocious hurricanes. With this, he started invading our hill. My grandmother, who knew the mantra, or who knew the way in which Parvatastra can be obtained or can be invoked. Parvatastra is an astra that actually invokes the energy of a mountain, and then she directed onto her. With this blow, his entire army was put to rest. Meanwhile, I was able to only defend the gates of our hill just while battling with them. Their powers were too much on us, but with the armor that I was given, I was able to only do that much. Elsewhere, Naika and Mahodara were engaged in a deadly duel. Both were matchless. Both were actually fighting ferociously for win over the other. But alas, as Mahodara's powers were more, he slammed down Naika. Seeing this, Lakshmi had rose to the skies and took him in his arms and brought him back to the hill, while she casted an illusion over Mahodara, making him standby for the time being. But Mahodara's powers were too much for this thing also. He broke that illusion. Meanwhile, my grandmother had removed the ill effects that Mahodara had created, and due to some mystical Ayurvedic herbs that were available on hill, cured Nayaka. Highly enraged by this bad act of Mahodara, she took Agnivesa, who was a horse, and rose to the skies. Both started going into each other with an extremely ferocious nature. My grandmother had warned Mahodara, saying that now you're going to pay for your actions and for your greed. This is your last warning. Return if you want to not have see any further destruction. But Mahodara, being adamant and arrogant and ignorant, had only replied one thing: bring it on. So be it, was my grandmother's reply. Both were engaged in a deadly duel. Normally, they started fighting with normal weapons and then celestial weapons, and then nothing else was left for them to fight upon. Then my grandmother jumped from a horse, pushed Mahodara off his horse, and invoking the powers of the time crystal, was able to put him back in the time crystal, but that he already broke. So this time crystal was not enough for him. Then she has invoked the Anjalika Astra, which is invoking the power of Lord Surya, and put it in that weapon and then used it on him. With this ultimate weapon that he fell down from the skies, completely defeated, exhausted, and eliminated. My grandmother too descended onto earth, and when she did, moonlight shone on her. Nayaka approached her and congratulated her by saying that indeed you are Vijaya Lakshmi, meaning one who gives us victory over all terms. I also returned from my place that I was assigned. I started slowly climbing the hill to see that my grandmother was already was given a lot of garlands and was praised a lot. She had a lot of flowers on her and all that symbols of victory on her. And Naika had also given her a garland of flowers to show that we have won. But just then, I've remembered that our train that is to be catched to Rameswaram is leaving. So I just reminded my grandmother of this and told her that we have to rush back to Rameswaram. My grandmother was exchanging talks with Nayaka. She told Nayaka that whenever you need my help again in future, whether it be Mahodara or his aides or anybody who wishes to threaten or destroy our dharma, invoke and call me by this sword that I'm putting here. You can project it towards the moon, and that moonlight would guide me to the place where we have to our protect, promote, and preserve our dharma. I would be there. So that was the reassuring words that my grandmother had given Nayaka. With this reassurance, they bid farewell. But I was completely tense that by the time we would have gone to Rameswaram, the train would already leave, and my mother and all of the relatives would be entirely panicked. My grandmother told me we might be late to the train speed, but Agnivesa's speed is not less than any of the train speed. In fact, the train speed is no match to the speed of my horse. Saying so, we leaped onto the horse, and that horse, who had the speed of thought of the rider, had entirely jumped from Vindhya Mountains to Rameswaram in a flick of second. We landed on the train. We landed on the train which was currently going to the station of Rameswaram. We quickly boarded it in, and when the train stopped at Rameswaram, I saw my mother and other relatives waiting for me and my grandmother to pick us up. So we have. I just lovingly went into the arms of my mother and told him that, Amma, see, grandmother had turned into a 25-year-old lady. What? See, this is. I was so excited. I was fumbling the way I was fumbling right now to tell it to her. But then my mom told that, Abhi, just look at your grandmother. She's 75-year-old, uh, coming from the train. So I was shocked and I just went back, glanced back and looked at my grandmother.
Actually, contestant one, very sorry to interrupt, but I think you've been exceeding the time. So can you please complete your speech as soon as possible because we
Yeah,
have other
actually, I was
contestants
unable
lined
to
up.
see any green or red thing, so I was prolonging the story actually.
You can pin the timer. It's Shruti Shivaramakrishnan. She's the timer, and you have to pin her to your screen so that you can see the cards.
Oh, okay. Fine. Anyways, the story had like two more lines. That's it.
Yes. Yes.
So we both exchanged our views and we had a smile on our faces. She was completely rejuvenated with this big success. So that would be my story. That's it. Thank you. Om Namah Shivaya.
Thank you so
I'm done
much.
with my speech.
Yeah, thank you so much, contestant. A gentle reminder to all the contestants. Shruti Shivaramakrishnan is the timer, so you can see her in the contestant list, and please pin her to your screen so that you keep a track on the timing. The timings will be from 3 to 5 minutes, and any exceeding of the limit more than 30 seconds of the buffer time will be strictly disqualified. Um, and with that gentle announcement, we'll move on to the second contestant, uh, Madhav Harikumar. Madhav Harikumar, contestant number 2, The Lost Island. The Lost Island, Madhav Harikumar.
Hi, so good evening. My name is Madhav, and today I'm going to tell you a story about the Lost Island. Far, far away in the raging sea, battling the mighty waves, four people, Sam, Jenny, Charles, and Michael, they sailed across to find Lost Island. Lost Island was named because it has so many theories and so many myths about a lost treasure buried somewhere in the island. As they reached the island, it looked dark and very gloomy, like there were so many broken logs lying across the shore. And as they started moving along, they saw a broken wooden board and it was completely covered with dust. As they cleared out the dust, it read out the Lost Island. They walked through the forest, but suddenly an invisible barrier had blocked them. When the invisible barrier opened, they saw a whole new place, like another island inside the main island. It was a it was a paradise. This place was of immense beauty with hills, waterfalls, and birds flying around, and there was like a big volcano also. So Charles thought that maybe this could be the reason with such a beautiful landscape that the explorers who came here named it as a lost island. As they tried to go back to the shoreline, the invisible barrier did not allow them. So Michael asked Charles whether they would be stuck here forever. But Charles told that if they find the treasure, then they'll definitely get out of the island and they could go back home. They walked through the forest and they saw a lot many animals like monkeys, hippos in the river, elephants going through, and many more. The weather there really changed frequently, and suddenly they come across a cave. They all decide to enter it, and that was when curiosity did spread amongst the four of them. And as they went inside the cave, they saw a huge rock, and there were like so many rails that you need to climb up to reach the rock. So when they climbed up and when they reached the rock, they saw a paper stuck on it. And when they took the paper, the rock as such broke in two, and all four of them fell down and they ended up in a cart which was on a rail. And on the cart, there was a note written, "Pull the lever." And when Jennifer pulled the lever, the cart started moving and they ended up reaching on the other end of the cave. But as they got out of the cave, they saw like a whole new forest. Like it was like a forbidden forest. It was like a very dark and too much thickness and lot many trees and tall trees and bushes. So Charles was really scared. So Michael thought that let's keep a they have four flare guns. So they told that let's split up and let's explore the forest and searching for clues about the treasure. So as they went, they met a lot many traps in their way. And when Michael tripped and fell down, he saw that it was something was covering a door, and he saw that there was so many bushes covering it. And when he cleared out, he saw like a wooden door. And then he thought he need to tell his friends that he found something that could be a clue which leads to the treasure. And that was when he took the flare gun and he shot. And when the others saw the flare, they headed out and reached at him. When they opened the wooden door, there was like a staircase which led to the underground, and they saw like the whole treasure. And Sam was like, oh my god, there's like rubies, emeralds, and gold, and like diamonds, and like it's like he has never seen such a treasure ever in his life. And they took the treasures which they could carry on. And then suddenly there was a stairs which led to the other side of the forest, and suddenly the invisible barrier came back, and then it opened and they came to the shoreline. And that was when they found out that the weather started going hot, and then the temperature started increasing, and that was when they found out the volcano was active, and the whole island started shaking as if it was going to sink. And Charles told, come on, let's grab the broken logs which was right at the shore, and let's tie up and build a raft. And they all took risks and built the raft, and they left the island and they went home. And as they reached home, the whole world, it became a news all across social media, and the whole world was really talking about the mysterious adventure of them finding the treasure in the island. They took half the money from what they got from the treasure, and they used it for charity. They lived their life by helping people, and they also explored their ambitions using the money which they had got from the treasure. Thank you. Nice speech.
Thank you, contestant.
Thank you.
We next move on to the fourth contestant, to the third contestant, Malavika Rajesh. Contestant number 3, Malavika Rajesh, Savior of the Earth. Savior of the Earth, Malavika Rajesh.
What I am going to tell all of you is a tale of bravery. This happened about 20 years ago in 2002. Sukanya was a 10th grade student studying in Chennai. She was an extremely intelligent child. One day, when she was returning from school, she saw two men standing behind the school. She noticed their sneaky behavior and decided to keep an eye on them. The more she looked at them, the more suspicious she got. She immediately understood. They were aliens. A very good evening, respected contest chair, judges, and all the other contestants. Today, I will be reminding all of you about a very important person, a person because of whom all of us are alive. Sukanya noticed that they had green feet and only had 3 fingers. She observed them for a long time, but they weren't moving from there. She called her two best friends, Karthik and Meera, to accompany her. She told them about the aliens, and they were as surprised as she was. They decided to follow the aliens. They were heading to a hideout in the outskirts of the city. Sukanya and her friends peeked through a window and saw a book which had the name Min. Sukanya immediately remembered about what her father had told her about the planet Min when she was young. Astronauts from Earth had discovered this planet, and along with other astronauts, they invaded planet Min and they colonized it. As a result, many of the inhabitants from planet Min lost their lives. This led to many groups being formed to take or to avenge the death of their loved ones. This led to a revenge between Earth and planet Min. Sukanya immediately realized that the two aliens wanted to take revenge on the people of Earth. Sukanya and her friends noticed that the aliens went out of the room. They sneaked in and started searching the room. There were maps, journals, and many other materials. A place was marked in the map, which was only 5 kilometers away from the hideout. They heard the aliens' footsteps and hurried out of the room. Sukanya and her friends started following them. It was a forest and it was pitch dark. They noticed that the aliens were taking something out of their bag. It was a bottle. And as they were about to open it, thud, Karthik banged the head of the aliens. Meera joined him too. The aliens fell unconscious, and violet colored blood was oozing out of their heads. Sukanya and her friends immediately called the police, and the aliens' bodies were sent for further research to their laboratories. The contents inside the bottle were tested, and to everyone's surprise, it was a gas which was popularly known as breathless venom. Anybody who inhales it would never be able to breathe again. The researchers said that even if a little of the gas was leaked, it would have caused the death of thousands of people. The government congratulated Sukanya and her friends, and they were rewarded too. After this incident, Sukanya started researching on various planets and their inhabitants. Though everyone thought that aliens from planet Min would never come again, Sukanya knew that the flame had not been extinguished yet. She opened a diary in which there was a piece of paper which read, "Our brothers from Min will not lay to rest until Earth has been destroyed." Yes, it was a note which was taken by Sukanya from the hideout and had told nobody about. She still believes that the COVID pandemic was also caused by the aliens as an answer to Earth's cruelty towards people of Min, and she knew that there was more to come. Thank you, and over to the contest chair.
Thank you so much, contestant. We next move on to contestant number 4, Jayalakshmi K. Contestant number 4, Jayalakshmi K. The Mysterious Stone. The Mysterious Stone, Jayalakshmi K.
Warm greetings to the gatherings. Myself K. Jalakshmi from Aerospace Department. Now I'm going to take you all into a fantasy world. On a breezy evening, I was comfortably seated beside a window and engrossed in reading a book. When I suddenly felt something weird, I just looked around. A complete silence persists. When I turned around, I saw my book was shining brightly, so I stepped closer towards it. When I touched it, a bright light flashed suddenly and I couldn't see anything. Later, when I opened my eyes, I realized that I was lying in a bed and wearing a princess dress. I was stunned and puzzled as I couldn't recall anything on how I came here. Suddenly, two maids entered into my room and said that King wants to meet me. I just went along with them with the doubts in my mind. Later, the conversation with the king, I confirmed that I was pulled into the book which I was reading. I wasn't sure what to do and to whom should I seek for help. As the day passes, one fine day, I came to know about a stone. As all the people in the palace were talking about the curiosity led me to search the stone. As I secretly entered into the room where the stone is kept secured by distracting the attention of the boy. When I saw the stone for the first time, it resembled like a normal stone, but once I touched it, it started to shine brightly. Suddenly, a buzzer rang. I was panicked. Accidentally, I got slipped into the stone and it went inside my body. I was quite surprised and quickly escaped from the room. Later, the king came to know about the missing stone and the search for the stone begins. I was astounded from the incident and kept it as a secret. The next day, I was amazed by the incident that happened in the palace, which was same as what I dreamt last night. As I know how this incident is going to be, I tried to change the result of the incident and succeeded in that. As a consequence of my action, I transformed into a rabbit. After some time, I transformed again to my original form. I thought this all could be a hallucination, but when it happened again and again, I thought something fishy. So I started to investigate about it. Then I came to know, since when the stone entered into my body and when I changed the fate, that is the beginning point of the story. I was confused and thought of asking this to the saint in the kingdom. As I approached the saint, all the secrets started to unfold. The first thing is, the stone is none other than a time stone, which helps me to change the past, present, and the future. The second thing is the curse of the stone. That is, we can use the stone and change the fate for 7 times. And each time when the fate is changed, we will be transformed into animal for certain hours. And after the 7th transformation, we will get into a deep sleep for a lifetime. The third thing is a more shocker one. That is, I am a daughter of the king, and my birth father is the one who is the guardian of the time stone. Since my birth father is faithful to the king and the kingdom, the king expressed his gratefulness by adopting me as his own daughter after my father's demise. I was emotionally struck. After the saint advised me that let the things happen the way it need to be. It remained as a sacred between us. As the day passes, I tried myself to not sleep during the night time to get rid of these dreams, but I can't control it all the time. I changed the fate for sixth time and I had my last chance. One fine day, everyone was occupied doing their usual jobs, and suddenly, emergency case got increased in the kingdom, and most of the people were fainted. As investigating, we came to know some creepy thing done with the neighboring kingdom to occupy our kingdom for explosion of poisonous gases. I couldn't stand it, as people of my country were dying in front of me. So I decided to make use of the stone, and I went into a deep meditation. And I got my father's blessing, and I conveyed him about my plan, and convinced him by explaining that if I use this chance, I will be the only one to fall asleep, and I could save the people of my kingdom. Finally, I used the stone, changed the fate, and saved the people of my kingdom. Everyone in the kingdom were happy because I saved from a great disaster, but at the same time sad as they lost their princess. I was in a deep sleep lying in the bed. All of a sudden, there was a light ray descending from the sky, falls on my body. I got my conscience back. As everyone were confused and had a mind full of questions, the saint entered the room and uttered, "The curse is broken. The stone is cursed, so it can be protected from the evil people." When she risked her own life to save the people of our kingdom, her selfless act is the key to break the curse. And the princess is awake. Thank you. Over to Compass Master.
Thank you so much, contestant. We now move on to the fifth contestant. Contestant number 5, Sushant Kundu, the man of steel. The man of steel, Sushant Kundu. Contestant number 5, Sushant Kundu. Do we have him here?
Toastmaster Malika, Toastmaster Kaushalya, please move it to the next participant. He is not in the meeting.
Contestant number 6, Theophilus Bondu, Divine Union. Divine Union, contestant number 6, Theophilus Bondu.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Theophilus. Now let us start. It was 6 p.m. in the evening. Arun receives a call from his friend. He says that, as a friend, I will tell you, Arun, that you're never going to get married because the type of girl you're looking for never existed and will never exist. And even if she exists, why would she choose you? Because you're greedy and your superiority complex will never let you find a girl. So stop looking for a girl and go with the girl which works well for your family. It was not new for Arun to hear such things from his friends because Arun expects that his wife should be very beautiful and intelligent with at least 95% of her academics, and he also expects that she also should love novels like her, like him, and she also should love literature so that he could debate with her and converse with her on various aspects like story and the theme of the novels. But no girl were able to match his expectations. He was so sad that he was not able to find anyone who would match his expectations, thinking of all these things, and he even cursed himself for not getting married for such a long time, like, sticking to his expectations. So he was not able to find a girl for such a long time. He was so sad. His life was so depressed, and his routine. His life was so routine. Then it was 2 a.m. in the night. He looked around the compartment of the train and did find no one. It was not new for him to travel at such odd times, considering his office timings. And he was reading a novel as usual because he loves to read novels. And suddenly, a girl clad in white dress enters the compartment and sits in the right corner of the window. And she was to Arun's surprise, she was also reading a novel by Dan Brown. And he was very delighted that at least he was able to find someone who was also interested in novels. And he mustered some courage and sits in front of her. And he asked her, he mustered some courage and he asked her, "Excuse me, I am Arun Selvam. It's pleasure meeting you." She also reciprocates the same. And she also tells that Arun means knowledge and Selvam means wealth. Are you the repository of all the knowledge and wealth in the world? And Arun cannot contain his happiness because he was so happy because after such a long time he was able to find a girl who met his expectations. And he also come to know that Neela also loves to read novels and literature, and she also shared so many thoughts that I also love novels like you, Arun. And he was so happy that at last, his love of life, he was able to find a girl who was very clever and with whom he can debate for such long times on theme and plot of the novels. And something attracted him to her. After that, after some long time, and Arun asked Neela that life is meaningless, isn't it, Neela? And Neela says yes. And Arun asks her, if life is meaningless, why is the need for us to live? Neela thinks for an eternity and answers that to attain enlightenment, Arun, she says. And Arun asks her, what is enlightenment, Neela? Neela says that enlightenment is a man's release from one's own tutelage. Tutelage is the incompetence to one's own understanding. So he says that, okay. And Neela asks Arun, did you ever try to attain enlightenment? And Arun says, no, I didn't try. I should give it a try. And Neela says that, okay, do you ever try to jump off a running train? And Arun says, what? Excuse me, what are you talking about? And Leela says that, yes. Did you heard about the Katha Upanishad? And Arun says, yes. In that, Nachiketan jumps inside in the fire to meet Yama and to attain enlightenment. And after saying these things, she holds Arun's hand and takes him to the door of the train. And the train was moving very fast. And she stands at the edge of the train and says to Arun that only when you attain enlightenment, then you will be able to meet me. And she blinks for a few seconds and jumps off the train. And Arun felt numb. And after regaining his consciousness, he just peeps out the train to see where she was, but she would never, nowhere to be found. After regaining his consciousness, he thinks to himself, okay, what is life without attaining its final goal? He also stands at the edge of the train and prepares to take a leap. And next morning, around Arun's body, there will be thousands of flashes and reporters surrounding Arun's body, and everyone will be rumoring that the ticket collector had pushed Arun because for a ticketless travel. And the railway superintendent comes and tells that no, there is no way that he would be pulled away out of the running train for without traveling without a ticket. And now he tells the railway superintendent tells that now I'm calling the senior physician who postmortem the body of Arun. So he comes and tells that I am Dr. Shankar, the senior physician who postmortem that we have recorded a strip of clozapine. It was like this. We have recorded a stick of clozapine, drug 500 milligrams, very high dosage. It shows that the victim has undergone olfactory, visual, and auditory hallucinations, and he could have also undergone paranoid and bizarre delusions. It means that Neela doesn't exist at all. It was Arun's imagination that Neela boarded the train. It was Arun's hallucination that Neela also loved novels like him. And it was Arun's hallucination that Neela jumped out of the train. Thinking of all these things, and Arun also jumps off the train. It was Neela doesn't exist in real life at all. It was Arun's imagination. So he says, content with the information given with vision, all made up people leaves. And Arun still waits for Neela there. And he says that, is it going to be 100 years solitude for me? And I still wait for Neela Subramanyam, Arun says. Thank you.
Thank you so much, contestant. We now move on to the seventh contestant, Jasmeena. Contestant number 7, Jasmeena. Travel. Travel, Jasmeena. Contestant number 7, Jasmeena. Okay. So let's move on to the next contestant. Contestant number 8, Sai Devant. Contestant number 8, Sai Devant. Life around engineering. Life around engineering, Sai Devant. Contestant number 8, Sai Devant. Okay. So let's move on to the next contestant. Contestant number 9, Adarsh Gunjan. Adarsh Gunjan, contestant number 9. Victory campaign. Victory campaign, Adarsh Gunjan. Contestant number 9, Adarsh Gunjan. Okay. So we'll move on to the next contestant. Contestant number 10, Tushar. Contestant number 10, Tushar.
Kaushalya, I think they are yet to transform from a breakout room. I'll inform Bhaveshwari.
Okay. Do we have Rahul Krishna here?
Yes, I'm present.
Okay, so we'll move on with you, Rahul Krishna. You'll be contestant number 11, Rahul
Yeah.
Krishna, the last crew. The last crew, Rahul Krishna.
Yes. I hope I'm audible and visible.
Yes, you are.
Can I start?
Yes.
Okay, sure. So, the last crew. Far, far away, battling the mighty wave, we sailed across the sea to find hidden deep within the darkness of the night and the brutality of the raging ocean, the gates of Aquarius. To see the gates while you are in the flesh is something that the elders of Peril believed to be a myth. All those who have set off on this quest has never returned breathing to the land of Peril. Captain Yamato knew this when he decided to leave his fortunes and a life of riches behind and set off on this quest of a madman. So did we. I and the others who joined Captain's crew. We were all well aware of what we were stepping into. The village mocked Captain for his foolish decision to choose certain death over a life of riches. But the old man had grown too bored of the basic life of a rich man. All the money in the world accumulated couldn't get him what he missed the most in life, the rush of adrenaline fueled by the sea. The legend of Aquarius is something everyone in the Pearl grew up with. Some believed the gates held back a monster, while others believed that it held a treasure, a fortune, but no one knew for certain what it held behind. And there it was in all its might in front of us, the gates of Aquarius. It was the biggest structure I have ever seen in my life. It had the height of about 15 houses and the width of about the same. Far off in the distance, we saw what seemed to be a ship. Captain Yamato ordered the cannons to be at the ready, but the other ship didn't seem to engage. While it is weird to see other ships here, we didn't care about it much because what stood before us was something straight out of a fantasy, a nightmare, a dream. The smell of rust and rotting wood that followed the sailor everywhere was something that I missed in this region. I couldn't find it here. The smell of the rotting wood is absent in this region. This place rather smelled oddly very similar to a grassland and like flowers. As our ship slowly approached the gate, Captain Yamato ordered two of our finest men to go ahead and scout the region ahead. The small boat that will take them was lowered slowly into the depth of the cold ocean below us. We waited for about an hour, but they did not return, and the crew had become restless. But then happy news came when one of our crewmates saw or identified the ship behind the mist approaching us. As the boat approached closer and closer, I began to notice a very familiar face in the boat. Not one of my crewmates that had left, but a face that I was sure I knew each and every specific feature of. Yes, it was me. It was me who was rowing in the boat back towards me. I was too stunned to speak, and so was everyone on the deck. They changed their glance from him onto me and from me onto him. And we didn't know, no one would know how to react to seeing two people of the same person at the same place at the same time. It was awkward silence for a long time. But then he broke the silence and he said, or rather, I said, I know this doesn't make any sense, but believe me, it will make more sense in a while. Just move towards the mist, Captain Yamato. As perplexed as Captain Yamato was, there was a certain urgency in my voice, or rather the man's voice, that compelled Captain Yamato to move towards the mist. As we moved towards the mist, we saw a world which was beyond our comprehension. The moment we passed the gates, myself, or rather my mirror image that had approached us in the boat, started to disappear. It was all a mystery. Rather, the gate ended really quickly and we exited through the other side. There was no fortune, there was nothing. Rather, it was just emptiness filled with joy. The moment we exited the gate, the crew members were filled with joy, pleasure that we couldn't comprehend of. The place reminded of me of my favorite place. Yes, the gates of Aquarius led you to your happy place. But there were a lot of questions that were not answered, and I will be searching for those answers. Thank you.
Thank you, contestant. We now move on to the next contestant, contestant number 12, Aishwarya GS. Aishwarya GS, the unlucky know-it-all. The unlucky know-it-all, Aishwarya GS.
Am I audible and visible?
Yes, you are.
Okay. Can I start now?
Yes.
On a breezy evening, I sat down in my room, exhausted from a long day's work. I was too restless to sleep and too tired to be active. I glanced at my bookshelf and realized I hadn't really read anything in a long time. This was a good opportunity to do so. I picked a book that I had no memory of and analyzed it. Its cover was blank, no title. I opened it and it was set in a journal-like format. Oh yeah, one of my friends gave this to me. She told me to read it and pass it on. I wonder what that meant. I noticed it was a journal documented by a real person. Did not seem like fiction. Chapter 1, Zane Coleman. Description, 6 feet tall, brown hair, round glasses. Commonly around the metro station, commutes by train often. As I kept reading, I realized that it was nothing but the documented life of a very average person. I got bored easily. Getting agitated, I started flipping through the book vigorously to see if something catches my eye. It did, because what I realized was it was not one person's life, but many people's lives that were documented, one after the other, chapter-wise. After a particular page, it was blank. I was confused, but maybe reading the book would provide an answer. So I started reading, chapter by chapter, person by person. But the book never seemed to end. Does this book really have that many pages? Eventually, I gave up. The next day, I woke up, I got ready for the day. I rushed to the metro, fearing I would miss the train, and in the process, hit a person walking. Oh, I'm extremely sorry, I apologized. It's okay, said the person. That's when I noticed his ID. Zane Coleman, it said. 6 feet, brown hair, round glasses, in the metro station. Weird coincidence? I don't know, but it was the first thing I checked when I got back home. The entry said, Monday, 19th January 2015. Today morning in a rush, somebody bumped into me. It made me a few minutes late. No way. There's no way. Chapter 16, Emily Arthur opens her own bakery. I saw with my own 2 eyes as the news flashed about famous Emily's bakery right before going back into dystopia. After a bunch of incidences, I realized that the journal documented every single human being's lives, their thoughts, activities, and livelihood. It was always a bedtime thought for me. At this moment in life, what are everybody else doing? What are they thinking? When we meet a stranger walking the opposite way, we exchange a smile, and then we go about our own lives. We will never know about them. We can only admire how 2 lives overlapped for a second, like a mini crossover episode. But with this book, I could know what every single person in the world was up to at an instance. My hands shook suddenly and I broke into a sweat. Does this mean that I could manipulate the world? Isn't that a huge responsibility? I would have to live through their best and also through their worst moments. I might be able to help, but I also wouldn't in a lot of cases. Starting to worry about the world, I slowly began to lose my judgment. Wait. Where is my story? I flipped through the pages anxiously, worrying about what I was going to find and where was it going to end. But alas, my story was missing. This is just a story, but we all know that we worry a little too much about this obviously imperfect world. And in the process, we forget our own flaws. Maybe, just maybe, we were as curious about ourselves. We could make a difference. We will never know a person perfectly. We will never know their story. But even if we do, we do not want to be an unlucky know-it-all, do we? Thank you.
Thank you so much, contestant. We now move on to the next contestant, Armand Mahapatra.
Yes, am I audible right now?
Yes, you are. Armand Mahapatra, the unexplained. The unexplained Armand Mahapatra.
Yes. The unexplained. Well, this incident happened to me back when I was living in a rural ranch house back in rural Kentucky. Well, I bought that house because I liked the relative isolation that it provided me. The nearest civilization wasn't for 2 miles. It was covered by thick woodlands, and I liked it. It was peaceful. Or was it? Well, long ago, this incident prompted me to move out of that ranch house as soon as possible. Something that shook me from within, that scared me from the bottom of my heart. Well, it was long ago. I don't remember how long ago. I don't even want to remember how long ago it was. Well, it was an uneventful day. As I did the chores of running a ranch house, I retired back to my home late at night. When I went to the porch to sit on my chair, looking at the night sky, how mesmerizing it could be, the transcendental beauty that the moon can present upon this earth, barren of any life forms at the time. The road that connected me to civilization was almost 10 yards from me. Well, there was no streetlights on it. The only thing illuminating it was the moonlight itself. There were stars, numerous in number. I could see all of them because I was not restricted by the light pollution that the city folks had to endure. Well, something disturbed this process of fantasizing about the beauty that a night sky can reflect upon this earth. Something in the corner of my eye. I turned to look. Something that was moving up and down across the road that was 10 yards away from me. I tried to narrow my eyes to fix my vision to see what it actually was. I think, what could it be? I lived in rural Kentucky. It's not particularly known for its nocturnal wildlife. So I thought, what could it be? Could it be some kind of an intruder, trespasser, somebody just playing a prank? In my mind was running wild imagination, but then I called out upon him in anger. Hey! Then, whatever it was, it stopped right on its track. I could see its humanoid figure being outlined by the moonlight. It was stooped forward. It was weird, as if it was longer than it was. Then, its head turned right towards me on the left side. I could see its face, jet black, devoid of any facial features. It had no face, no eyes, no mouth, but still I could feel it staring right through my soul, getting a chill down my spine. And then it stood right back up, staring at me for 5 seconds. Then it jumped the fence, advancing right at me, clearing the 10-yard space within us. A jolt of current, lightning went through my body, forcing me to retire into my condo, into my colonial estate as it was. I closed the door with every single thing I had, kept every single furniture that was in my house in front of the door, shut every window up with every little courage I had, took a stick and just sat right there, ready to kill anybody that entered my home. But then, as I waited for the inevitable, It came. I could hear its footsteps creak on my colonial hardwood porch, and then it started banging right on my doorstep. Bang, bang. It started getting intense more and more, and then suddenly it just ceased, only to begin again on another part of my house. Sometimes they would go on and off simultaneously, as if there was not one, but more of those, whatever they were, those creatures, more of them besieging me into my house for 4 hours. And then, finally gone. Gone. I didn't have the courage to go out and check what it was until dusk came, which was not until 2 or 3 hours. When it came, I waited there, just staying right there, still. I couldn't find the courage. And then finally dusk came, I went out to check. The only thing that was left of them was the insipid footprints that they had left behind. Those footprints were abnormally large, but like a human being, as I might say. They were like a human being, but abnormally large. It prompted me to leave my home for good. I went back to the city. I didn't want to be in isolation anymore. I know I couldn't explain what it was. I know about the tales that they say about the Kelly Hopkinsville incident of the 1955 in rural Kentucky and the Fort Campbell incident, but I've witnessed it forehand, and I cannot comprehend or explain what it exactly was that drove me from my house in Kentucky. Thank you very much for sharing me this story.
Thank you, contestant. We now move on to the next contestant, Ashrit Manta. Ashrit Manta, to be determined. To be determined, Ashrit Manta.
Hi, am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Am I visible?
Can you please turn on the lights so that would be better?
We're having issues in the hostel.
Okay.
Lights not working, so this is the best I can do. I'm sorry. Would this be better?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Just give me a moment. Yeah. Okay. So the tale I'm going to tell you, well, it's titled "To Be Determined." Well, I meant to use this title as a placeholder until I found a real title. But it slowly dawned upon me that to be determined is so powerful. So I adopted it because it was the same thought I had when I entered the world that I'm going to talk about. So come with me to my world of wonder. A few months ago, nature's wrath was beating down on my broken bones as I walked down on a pathless lake. I needed respite, and I didn't wish to go back home in such adverse conditions. A small two-lane road was choking on my right, and my left there was a dense forest, and it was calling to me. A niche shed sheltered itself among the thick growth. Its nameplate was lost to the eons, I couldn't tell. And what really caught my attention was there was just a board saying station. So I had passed by this place a multitude of times. I was intrigued by its proclivity to wines and algae, but looking back, this old shack, it had nothing special. But in the moment, the comfort that it could give me from the rain, no hotel could beat it. That one decision would prove to be pivotal in this tale, but not as much as the one I'm yet to take. So, as I perused the constitution of the corrugated sheet roof, I found myself wondering what sort of a station has no rails or tarmac. The answer to my curiosity came in the form of overturned turnstile that sat at the edge of a structure. I was always an adventurous chap, but as I got older, I was left reciprocally tired and cautious. This was my second choice of the day, and this would change my outlook forever. So I devoured a breath, I cocked my umbrella, and I took a step. All that fancy words and energetic words. So I pushed my way through a gate of vines and branches for a couple of feet, and I crossed this grassy threshold. And what I encountered, I tell you, it was no less than a magical sight. The path led onto a steel bridge that was at least half a century old, and a place so gorgeous it could take away a trained swimmer's breath. I know, I'm the trained swimmer. Two tracks teased their way as they danced their way into the station. The platforms they were separated by rails that were set in a gorge under the rest of the world outside. Trees in every shade of green, from envy to harmony, line the gorge, almost protecting, this magical place from sight and sound. Even the ravenous rumbling of rolling clouds seemed to go through a stormbreaker of sorts as they were reduced to a kitten's purr, with the sky seeming lighter both in terms of mood and monsoon. This place of mechanical simplicity and natural complexity was built as one among many, so many stations, but it was made unique by its surroundings. Months have passed, and looking back, I was at a station. One could call it a railway station, old, desolate, and in disrepair. It was never a booming center of metropolitan travel, but it was something. It was something to me. Set in the heart of a city, it was no longer seen. Set in a gorge insulated by trees, it was no longer heard. It was never officially closed, forever open for those who seek it. It was publicly perennial. It was neither the end of the line nor the beginning. A place of beauty in a concrete hellscape. It was an escape for me because in my mind, I always considered it to be temporarily tangible. Time was never an issue, neither was the lack of it. And I came and went as I wished when I wished. Imagine a place that is its own hourglass, and your curiosity is the flow of its sand. So that's it. Set in 2 tracks, 2 platforms, and 3 benches. This is the world that these words dwell in. This world lives as I speak one word at a time, so absorb each word like your lungs breathe in air. Listen like the world depends on it, because it does. This world will not exist without you, without me. Every iota of our concentration immortalizes it. Every dusty day that I spend, that it spends in my memory, it decimates it. So many have called it a railway station, but I call it a way station. A locus of entangled lives due to knots tied in unexpected conversations that I had with people I never thought I would meet. This is a way station for those who wish to travel not the 7 seas or the skies indomitable, but their own minds. So you must be pondering, why is this man telling us something so normal, so menacingly mediocre? I'm telling you this because fantastical words of magical proportions are now common, but real places where peace is available in the real world, those are not anymore. They must be found, they must be preserved, they must be cherished. That is why this is the tallest tale of them all, this unbelievably magical place, not because I made this place up, but because finding magical places like this are unbelievably hard. There are no twists here. There's only peace. This is why this place is the rarest of them all. So join me as I stepped into this palace of thought. This was and is the way station, ladies and gentlemen. I am your conductor, and everything else ahead is to be determined. Thank you so much. That is my time.
Thank you so much, contestant. We now move on to the next contestant, contestant number 15, Kavya Rajan. Kavya Rajan, in search of my destiny. In search of my destiny, Kavya Rajan.
Yes, ma'am. I'm here. So, a pleasant good evening to everyone. In search of my destiny. So, one day when I was sitting on my couch lamenting over the fact that I was stuck in my room for the past 2 years due to this COVID lockdown, and finding out things like what is my destiny, what am I going to do, how am I going to end up in my life. So, when I was covered with all these questions, suddenly an unusual figure appeared in front of me. A very gigantic figure which was having a very big sword that was as tall as me. So I got started. I literally don't know what to be done. And I was looking at him and I can't even scream. My voice was out. So somehow I gained the courage to look at him and ask, "Who are you?" And he said, "I am Samurai and I'm here to give the solution for your problem." Immediately he held my hands and poof, I got disappeared from that place. And I appeared in a dense, thick forest which was strangely silent. For a moment, I was startled. I don't know what happened. And I was like begging him, "Please, please take me back to my home." And he said, "No, don't worry. You have to cross this forest and reach the end of it so that you can get back to your home." And I was like, "My parents would search for me." He said, "Don't worry, my dear. I have a time machine and I've stopped the time machine. So until you complete this task, no one is going to know what is happening. And don't worry about that. Just go and start on it." And I was like, okay, fine. I just want to get out of it. I somehow want to get out of this forest. But that forest was so strange that I was not even able to find a small insect or anything for that matter. Not even small animals, insects, anything. So it was strange. I walked so slowly, very slowly, with utmost alertness. I was just walking with full of alertness that I can probably use. So after a few minutes, even then I didn't find any animals. So I thought, okay, there's nothing in this forest except for those dense trees, and that's why it was strangely silent. So I got off guard and I just started walking as a carefree bird. I was just walking and flying around the forest, and soon I got tired with all those things, and immediately I found a den over there. Since I didn't find any animals over there, I was pretty sure there was nothing inside that den. So I just ran into the den. Guess what? There was a big lion roaring at me, and I was perplexed. I don't know what to do. I never expected that to happen. I don't have a weapon and my legs weren't moving. I was not even able to run. Oh my God. Okay, I finally accepted my fate, closed my eyes, and I saw the lion raging towards me. So I just closed my eyes and accepted my fate. Thankfully, I just thought I was dead. I was ready to open my eyes to know whether I was in heaven or hell. So I just opened my eyes. Oh, I'm back in my home with the samurai in front of me saying, "You got the solution for your problem, dear." And I was like, "What? Is getting eaten by a tiger is the solution for my problem?" I was very much confused. So he said, "No, no. If you have seen any small animals and insects in between the journey that you took, you would have been warned. You would have at least taken a stick in order to fight the animals. But since you didn't get any warnings, you just went directly into the den and was not able to know what you have to do." So the same things happen. When you go in search of your destiny, you'll be put into a lot of pressure. You'll be subjected to a lot of problems. The way you tackle it and the way you use those problems to make you more stronger is the only way through which you can reach your destiny. Because reaching your destiny is not as simple as it looks. When you reach it, you'll definitely have a lot of problems in it so that you won't sustain there. So in order to sustain in your destiny, you have to face all these problems. So before I conclude my story, I would like to say that this is how life goes. So face all the struggles in your life and face those consequences, because that is what would lead you to sustain in your destiny. So I'm no more in search of my destiny, because life is all about destiny, and destiny is in my hands. I create my destiny, I change my destiny, and I face the consequence. That's it. Thank you. Om Namah Shivaya.
Thank you so much. We now move on to the next contestant number 16, Juju Varapu Mohit Sai. I have been eyesight. Oh man, where do we go again? Contestant number 16, Mohit Sai.
Hello. So on a breezy evening after tired from all the college and the classes, so I tried to chill for myself and tried to read a book. When I started to read a book, that I heard some strange noises coming from washroom or bathroom, right? So I went and so I thought something fell down. Then suddenly mirror caught my attention, and I was seeing myself, but in another way. Means I look different, but it's still me, but I look different. And suddenly a bright light came, and I went into the underworld. It's a mirror world. Left is right, right is left, north, south, everything is different. And suddenly I noticed that it's completely different, and I thought, hey boy, means if it's a reverse world, then I can be. It's not about education. I can play games and everything. There is no limits, and even everything is first priority. And India is the most developed country in the world. I felt very happy about that. But I still have many questions. It's a new world, right? Everyone have a lot of questions, right? So I started by walking, and I'm the most silent kid in the whole world in according to me. But over there, I became a celebrity. Even I don't know how. Everyone's treating me like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, it's Mohit or somewhat. So I tried to escape and still started moving. Then I got to know that we live in an alien community. Like, it's not about wars. It's not about WHO. It's direct PHO, planetary organizations. There are so many things, and I experience even other planetary species are coming to our world. After that, I noticed some changes or some light buzzing near me. So I tried to see, but I just don't want to hear it. But my instincts, my guts, my Eren Yeager told me to go, go. That's why I went, and I suddenly sucked into the wormhole, and then I was traveling through different multi-dimensional. I was able to see different times, time and space and barriers, different types of barriers, time barriers, space one. I can also see multiverse there. Means one world I became a cartoon. It was so funny that I just became a cartoon, seeing myself as a cartoon. In another world, I was like, oh God, I'm a god. In another world, so I went multi-dimensional, and suddenly I was crashed into some another world. First, I mirror. Then after learning that, I was like, what? Then it was like, oh my god, first mirror. Now what? Now I got very tensed and started moving towards it. After a few hours of traveling, I reached a small town where everyone looked different. Means I'm the weird looking species over there. So they look at me like with a disguised look, and treated me like a trash. So I just ran over there to take care of myself, and just I suddenly some big flash came out, and I have went back to the mirror world, and I was like this. Wait, what? What? After that, I just take 2 minutes of silence. After that, I started moving, and I was talking to everyone, and it was a very nice movement, and I was talking to somebody else or moving towards road, and got to notice that India is the trademark of the whole cosmos. They come to food, they come to entertainment, they come for everything, and one of the most powerful leader is also from the India. I felt very happy at that moment, and also there is no Area 51 in that world. After that, I heard a huge noise, banging, one by one, titting, 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 titting. It just like came like it sucked the whole world into a small piece, and it's nothing but all the bright. I can only see the bright light and some clock. I was like, wait a minute. I just shook. I just shook for a moment, shock, and after get to know, it was a dream. I was in a dream. But when I woke up, I literally saw every person I met in my dream for a split second. They're in their astral forms. I got really scared at that moment. So I tried to escape, but I cannot move. Then I got to know. I was dreaming in a dream and sleeping. When I woke up, everything is gone. And my friends are telling me, bro, don't cry and chill out. That's all. Thank you so much.
Thank you, contestant. Up next, we have contestant number 17, Supraja Gomati. Supraja Gomati, I have a story to tell.
Yeah, good evening, ma'am. A small change in the title. The title is the musical journey.
Okay.
Yeah. Is my video visible?
Yes, you are.
Yeah. Good evening, everyone. On that late afternoon, as usual, mothers had assembled at the entrance of the school. I was studying in grade 3. They had come to pick up their wards. Until the kids came out of the school, they were engrossed in the habitual chit-chat, the striking feature of which is the mutual appreciation of the offsprings. My mom said to Jayashree's mummy, Jayashree is a natural athlete. She has the potential to excel in sports. Immediately, Jay's mother fulfilled her obligation with all generosity, saying, Yes, Jay is. Suprajit Srinidhi sang Ramanchua very well in the music period yesterday. I saw her singing when I went to the office to pay fees. She has the talent in her to become a great Carnatic vocalist. My mother fully believed it. Wasting no time, she began to search for a good Carnatic teacher in town. Thus began my music odyssey. One of her family friends gave a good review about a Carnatic teacher and forwarded that this old lady is a strict disciplinarian besides being a tough taskmaster. My mom promptly fixed up an appointment on the first possible date. The music teacher was in her early 80s and displayed no nonsensical attitude. After keenly observing me as I sang a bhajan, she politely but firmly stated to my mother, "Let your child come here for a few days and sing with three fresh students who have just started learning. I will assess her during this time, and only if I am convinced, I will take her as my student." Wishing me good luck, the teacher asked us to come the following week. My mother was a bit anxious about whether I can prove myself to the music teacher and sought the intervention of the Almighty to let things happen favorably. I was joined by three students in the probationary period. We were taught a few shlokas. After scrutinizing me for a few days, the music teacher agreed to take me as a student. From then on, the music teacher became my guru. The next days, we were formally initiated into Carnatic music. The first challenge was to sing swaras in sync with the pitch Shruti. So the condition was the swaras had to match the pitch whenever we sang them. Each one of us had distinctly different voices, but equally awful. If one voice resembled an infant parrot yelling at its mommy, the other one was no different from the noise of a metal being dragged on the floor. The remaining voices were sheer mimicry of a lion roaring and a speeding car breaking into a sudden halt. Our singing was so dreadful in the early days that it would have scared the hell out of any sane person. The ability to sing in sync with the pitch was good enough to get us prizes in the intra-school and inter-school competitions. I must confess that we always had an edge in these competitions as most of the participants did not have the chance to learn the fundamentals of music from an accomplished teacher. Every coin has its flip side, and my musical journey had its fair share of testing moments. I was told to avoid ice creams and spicy snacks to take care of my vocal cords. It was difficult to miss them, especially ice creams. I don't fancy my chances of being a celebrity classical singer in the future. Only a few can make it big in any field. Here the question arises, should I continue learning classical music? Besides fame and money, music has a lot more to offer to anyone who takes the pain to learn and practice it. It is a well-known fact that music calms and soothes the soul. There is enough empirical proof in it. It is a well-known fact, and also it helps mundane thoughts to disappear. Singing involves the regulation of breath, and hence the learners get the same beneficial effects of pranayama and meditation. Thank you all for listening.
Thank you so much. We now move on to the next contestant, contestant number 18, Sharan K. Sharan K. Do we have the contestant here? Okay.
Toastmaster Kaushal, we do not have Sharon K. We can move on to the next contestant.
Move on to the next contestant, contestant number 19, Deethi Nagonkar. Deethi Nagonkar. Inexplicable mystery. Inexplicable mystery, Deethi Nagonkar.
Good evening. I think there is a bit of an issue at my end. The timer's green screen is frozen. Is that supposed to be right?
No, there's not a green screen in the timer.
Can you instruct me on what I can do here?
You can try reconnecting or changing your network so that it's visible.
Okay, I will rejoin the meeting. Can you give me 2 slots later, please?
Yeah, okay. We'll move on with the next contestant. Well, you can reconnect to a better network. Okay, so we move on to the next contestant, Sanjana. Sanjana, do we have the contestant here?
Hello?
Contestant Sanjana.
Yeah, I'm here. 1 minute.
A glorious dream. A glorious dream, Sanjana.
Okay. The video is not working. Oh. Actually, my video is not working. Can I give my performance next? Actually, I'm gonna sort it out.
Okay, we shall move on to the next contestant where we sort out the problem. Soumya MS. Do we have contestant Soumya?
Yeah, I'm here.
The last passenger. The last passenger, Soumya.
Can I start? Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, you can start.
Adam and Eve watched as the rescue spaceship sent from Earth punched through planet Ixo's purple atmosphere without them. The spaceship was scheduled to return in 2 weeks. In 3 weeks, the damaged life support systems in the experimental habitat would fail. Adam and Eve had volunteered to be the last passengers to leave the habitat. After the launch, they huddled over the computers and recalculated the amount of food, oxygen, and energy left in the habitat. Their initial calculations were accurate. There was enough for 3 weeks. Eve thought that was cutting it mighty close. Adam, being a stoic, wasn't worried. He thought a week's margin was plenty. 2 days before the spaceship was scheduled to arrive, the habitat's ambient lighting shut down. Adam, the electrical is shutting down, exclaimed Eve. It's the environmental lights, not the computer feed. We'll be okay. We'll have to work in the habitat by flashlight. It's just for 2 days. We'll make it as long as the electrical is working on the computer grids, replied Adam. During the cycle that imitated night, Eve tossed and turned in her hammock. She remembers seeing strange lights outside an hour ago. Is there someone else?
Sorry to interrupt, Soumya, you're not visible.
Sorry?
You're not visible. Can you?
Okay, just a minute. Am I visible now?
Yes, you're visible now.
Do I start again?
You can continue.
During the cycle that imitated night, Eve tossed and turned in her hammock. She remembers seeing strange lights outside an hour ago. Is there someone else left in the habitat? Or had the rescue team managed to make it back earlier? Could the lights be from the spaceship landing? She tried to control her anxious thoughts and hallucinations, but her self induced mind games were not working. She thought to herself, only 2 more of these imitation night cycles and I'll be home. I might as well enjoy the night sky here. I'll never see twin moons creating purple moonlight again. Eve grabbed her flashlight and turned it on. To find her way to the window overlooking the striated rock formations, she aimed the light beam at the floor and the beach wall. Something was wrong. Her hand shook. She placed the flashlight on a ledge and stared at the circle of light the flashlight had created on the wall. Enclosed in the white circle was the silhouette of an elephant. There was no doubt the black outline of a long trunk and tusks contrasted with the white light. It disappeared. The black silhouette of a leopard appeared instead. Then it moved out of the light circle. A sea turtle shape came next. Adam, wake up, come here, she cried. She didn't care. She didn't dare move the flashlight. The animal silhouettes were moving in and out of the light circle. Adam hurried to her side and stared in disbelief as realization dawned upon him. Those are the animals that are extinct on Earth, is the shadow of their spirit. Look, you can see a leopard and a dinosaur. Oh my God, Eve, don't touch the flashlight. Leave it alone. This is unbelievable. Then the last two passengers in the habitat on planet Ixos heard the electric pulse for the computer sputter and click off. Eve grabbed Adam's hand and they watched in dismay as the black silhouettes on the wall changed into that of a man and a woman. Thank you. That is my time.
Thank you so much. Do we have Deeti Nagomkar here?
Yes, I'm present.
Yeah, okay. Deeti Nagomkar, Inexplicable Mystery. Inexplicable Mystery, Deeti Nagomkar.
Hi, am I audible and visible?
Yes, you're audible and visible.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. I didn't have any tests on Monday, so my previous weekend was pretty relaxing. I think it was Sunday evening, and even though we're in the middle of March, there was this unexpectedly chilly breeze blowing. I just picked up my favorite novel, and I was so engrossed in it that I jumped up when the bell suddenly rang. My good friends, Robert Downey Jr. and Spider-Man, had come to see me. Once we had settled down, Spider-Man decided to make dinner that day. Oh, did I tell you? Spider-Man is probably master chef when it comes to making dosas, idlis, and sambar. Coming back, me and Robert Downey Jr. were chatting, and I said, "Hi, well, how are you? How is filming?" And he said, "I'm good. It's going well, but it can get tiring sometimes. So I just took a vacation recently." And I said, "Well, nice. What did you do?" And he said, "I decided and I got on the first direct flight out of New York. And I landed up in the Bermuda Triangle." And I said, "Uh-huh." And he said, "You won't believe how tight the security is. They've got hawks and eagles as Air Force and alligators as Coast Guard. And they take complete control of you once you're inside. You can only visit once in 6 months. But it's pretty nice once you're in. It's got this nice, calm atmosphere. The Wi-Fi is pretty good, so that's a bonus. And the mosquitoes can be a bit of a nuisance. They've evolved rather, to pull up the sleeves before biting people. But here's the best part. All the animals on the island speak English, so communication is never an issue. Coincidentally, Mr. Downey Jr. happened to be on the island right at the time of the biggest annual event. That is, Bermuda's Got Talent. This year, the Tigers won the Zumba dance competition. Apparently, the zebras are pretty good at rapping and the horses are pretty good at singing, so they formed a band known as the Beatles. The cats are majestic, royal oil painters. Recently, they released a painting that has taken the world by storm. What's it called now? Ah, the Mona Lisa. Yes. Okay, now here's where things get a little fishy. Right on the day before the dancing and singing competitions, the sun slowly moved into the shadow of the moon. The stars of Orion aligned with the stars of the Gemini, and there was silence. Slowly, as the sun moved out and the stars realigned, you could only hear the crashing of the waves and the thumping of the heartbeats. The animals realized that it was time. They agreed in silence and they nodded their heads. It was coming. I interrupted Mr. Downey Jr. and said, "Whoa! Well, what happened then? How did you get out?" And he said, "Well, now that's an interesting story. What happened was," and He disappeared right in front of my eyes. And slowly, but curiously, as the lights dimmed out around me, I turned back and saw the blackest, the darkest. Uh, I should probably tell you more of the story. I could probably tell you more, but I think it's time for me to go. So, probably next time. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, contestant. Do we have contestant number 20, Sanjana, here?
Yeah, so am I visible now?
Yes,
Hello.
you are.
Yeah.
Yeah. Contestant number 20, Sanjana. A glorious dream. A glorious dream, Sanjana.
Hello, buddy. So now I'm going to tell you an interesting tale. So where you're going to hang out in the dream of a young, passionate, and a beautiful girl. So here comes the story of a glorious dream, and hearing the sounds of the utensils, heavy rain, and in between a conversation of her brother and dad, Rina woke up listening to them. His brother, at the same moment, his brother was talking about, excitingly mentioning about, okay, let's buy a Royal Enfield. Why don't we get a Royal Enfield bike? And immediately she went into the middle of the conversation. They were talking and anxiously asked about, what were you talking about? Just share it with me. And then his brother was like sarcastically, oh, that even so, those people who don't even know to ride or drive a bike, so do they need to do anything in this conversation? You just go ahead and do your work. So those words really made Rina so upset in her mind. So out of those words, and just she was like, okay, it's our brother, right? So she was like, just let it go. And she was very upset and disappointed like that. But okay, it's okay, and everything was all right. And eventually, they bought a Royal Enfield bike, and everything was very happy. So, but her dream of learning bike remained the same. So one fine day, she was really very stressed out of her work, personal problems, tension, stress, and all, and she just had a nap. So that was the time which was really very precious for her. And here comes she imagining herself with a Royal Enfield bike. She driving a Royal Enfield bike to the Himalayas. So imagine how cool it was. And maybe not for all, but for a few, dreams are the places where we really enjoy ourselves being the way we are. So, the way we wanted to be. So, she was traveling all alone, and suddenly in between, she heard some voice and speaking like, "Hey, Rina." So, and she was like, "Who is that speaking to me in my dream?" And it's none other than Imagine. So, why don't you guess it? So, it was her bike speaking to her. It's just interesting, right? So, and surprisingly, the bike was speaking to her, and all the way long they both watched beautiful mountains, sunrise, sunset, and she felt it like really an adventurous journey. And they both shared many experiences, thoughts together, and she really spoke heartfully with that bike. And it just teaching Rina how to drive it. And guess what? So it's a dream. So you can do whatever you want. She can do whatever she wants, and she can be however she want to be, right? So and finally, both the Royal Enfield and Rina together have participated in a race. And when she was racing, she felt herself like a wild, wandering soul, and amazed in that adventurous feeling every moment in that surrounding. And she was like flying in the air, and it's a dream come moment for her. And suddenly, in the snap of time, she just got woke up by hearing her brother's voice. And she was really very upset that, oh my god, okay, it was a dream, so okay, fine. And what she don't know is that she was all blabbering this shit, whatever she was speaking. She was blabbering when she was asleep, and everything was heard by her brother. And think what? So after a few days later, her brother came up to her and he was saying that, oh, okay, I'm really very sorry for being like that. So I'm going to teach you how to ride a bike. And she was like, thank you so much. And she was really very excited about it. So like some people may have scary dreams, some may have emotional, and some people may have happy dreams. But there are some dreams which the people want to be themselves and feel the moment they wanted to feel, which they really can't feel in their real life. Those were the glorious dreams. Thank you. Thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you. We now move on to the next contestant, Hana Shahidar. Do we have Hannah here?
Yeah. Am I visible? No. Hello.
No, you're not visible.
Okay, I'll turn off. I think that's an issue. 1 second. Okay, now am I visible? I am, right?
Yes, you are visible.
All right. So, if there a tomorrow, a lot of us take the day tomorrow for granted, right? Yeah, okay, no need to plan. Yeah, I'll be there tomorrow. I'll come. Okay, why do we need a substitute? I'll be there tomorrow. Similarly, there was an event that was going to happen. I was supposed to host it. And everyone told me, hey, we need a substitute, just in case you don't show up. I'm like, hey, I never back out once I sign up for something. I'll definitely be there. I'll be there. All right, so I love online shopping and, of course, to maintain everything. I bought sunscreen online on Amazon, of course. And my package gets delivered. And, oh, all right, this looks a bit weird. This is not like the regular Amazon packages you get. Little sus. All right, cool. So I open it and I find this Jack in a box. And I'm just like, okay, whoa, what? First of all, this has to be a prank because everyone who's close to me knows that I absolutely detest Jack in a box because it's so scary. I know it freaks me out. I'm like, why? Okay, so I'm just thinking, why would someone send this to me? And it's just so weird. And that's when suddenly I find that there is something under the Jack in the box. So move it, keep it aside, take the letter. It's a letter, and I'm like, okay. So it's addressed to me, of course. Says, dear Hannah, do you remember me? I am someone who has borne the brunt of your selfishness. I'm like, okay, wait, what? Selfishness? It is not clicking because I'm like, okay, wait, what is going on? Who is this person? And then I read the rest. So apparently, I have a twin, and I never knew I had a twin. So that's when I find that there is a button on this letter. Very curious me. I knew it was a bad decision. I press the button anyway, and suddenly there's a portal that opens. A portal opens, and a girl steps out. She is about my same height, the same messy hair, and she has my same face. And I'm like, wait, who are you? And she's like, I'm Hannah. And I'm like, okay, wait, what? So, and behind her comes out a centaur. I'm like, okay, wait, whoa, what? You bought a man-horse hybrid? Okay, what is going on? I have no clue. And suddenly, I hear the alarm blaring, and I wake up. And it's just so weird because I'm not in my room. It's just not my bed. These are not my covers. This is some new place. And I walk and I go outside to see a war-torn world. And it's just bomb. I'm pretty sure that the city has been bombed very recently, maybe just 2 days back. There are still things that are burning. It's just in ruins. I have no clue what is going on. And that's when I meet this guy who is repeating again and again, He's just saying one word, fish scales. So I'm like, okay, I'll just go ask him what happened. So he tells me that in fact, there's just not our one universe, there's a multiverse. And there are these turtle dolphin hybrids called dolphins. Very creative name for the hybrid gods. I expected better from them, but yes. So there are these dolphins that run the world, and in fact, the multiverse. And they have these sort of fish scales that emit gamma rays. So there is an event that happens once in a billion years where there's a certain alignment of planets, and there are these gamma rays that are produced. So what happened is that these rays actually hit my mother's pregnant belly a long time back, that is 19 years back. And my mom has gotten this magic spell that allows a lot of extra space in the womb. So I, being a very selfish person, I fought with my twin and I pushed her in front when the gamma rays hit. And everyone thought she died in the womb. But then there was this mad scientist who was trying to work on a Dyson sphere because he wanted to colonize the entire universe, and he gets her, and now she's wanting to take revenge, and she's transported me into this alternate timeline, and now she gets to live my life and I'm in this ruins. Yep, selfishness hits you back in the face, and there's no guarantee whether there's a tomorrow or not. Thank you.
Thank you, contestant.
Thank you.
We now move on to contestant number 23, Ovia. Do we have Ovia here?
Yes.
The quest for a strange truth. The quest for a strange truth, Ovia Estate.
Can I start?
Yes.
While the goals
Can you
exist.
repeat roll number once again?
Sorry, I don't
I
get
mean,
you.
unique code, I mean. 23 is actually mine.
Okay, yours is kept to the last. We'll be
Okay.
calling you in some way.
Okay, thank you.
You can start.
Can I start?
Yeah.
While the goal's existence hasn't been dismissed by many experts, this hasn't stopped treasure hunters from around the world visiting the city of Ra in search of its buried gold, but all in vain. Sure, rumors travel faster than the wind. So how did this all started? A person, an explorer, an author named Oakes writes a book about the city of his deathbed. When Mr. Oakes and his group of explorers were exploring a dense forest, it was so deep and it took them a lot of days in this forest. And Mr. Oakes somehow got separated from his group of explorers and he lost consciousness the next moment and was in a dying situation. The next moment, when he regained his consciousness, his hands and legs were tied with a rope and his eyes were tied with a kind of cloth which contained some metal. Then someone removed his removed the ropes which were tying his legs and hands. And when Mr. Oakes removed the cloth and when he saw it, his eyes were shining. And then he saw it clearly. There was this metal which was so precious, so valuable, which was misused by the tribals living there. They were misusing gold like everything and anything, any other metal in this world. And on the floor, the houses were all having gold in it. So he asked the tribals, where does this gold come from? They have said that it originates as source from the peak of the hill. The hill
The hill's peak had a chunk of gold, and inside the hill lies a large amount of gold. So there is also a curse to this. The one who initiates in taking that chunk of gold or tries to take this gold is gonna meet his death sooner or eventually. But this curse has never been proved, so he's kind of happy that this is just a curse and people are believing just like a rumor. So and his group of explorers somehow find him, Mr. Oaks, and they come to him, and he also shares about this valuable substance at the peak. So Mr. Oaks was wounded, so he and is half the group of the explorers trying to take the boat and go out, and the other half the people are trying to take the chunk of the gold. This led to a volcanic eruption, and Mr. Oak somehow reached his home, and he also met his death due to he initialized this process. So whatever we have is enough. We don't need to have more than it. So thank you.
Thank you, contestant. We now move on to the next contestant, Ananya. We have Ananya here.
Good evening.
Forbidden Love. Forbidden
Yes.
Love, Ananya.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Ananya. I hope you like the story I'm going to tell. Far, far away, in the raging sea, battling the mighty waves, we sailed across to find the ultramarine blue talisman. We knew what this meant. We were one step closer to finding the island of Archimandra. Let me start by introducing myself. I'm Timmy, the hedgehog, and I am Melinda's companion. Melinda is my mistress. She's a warrior princess. She's brave and she's kind-hearted. But does she have any vice in her? Only time will tell. Well, I do hold this against her. She named me Timmy. That's the most generic name anyone could come up with. But now back to the story. Where was I? I was saying, we found the ultramarine blue talisman. And as soon as Melinda touched this ultramarine blue talisman, a bird, that is a parrot, appeared. Oh, it had to be a parrot. I mean, parrots have a bad reputation in the hedgehog community. Hi, I'm Laura. You have touched the ultramarine blue talisman. I will lead you to the island of Archimandra. I believe you are extremely stupid because any person who has been to the island of Archimandra has died. If you proceed to continue, we are all doomed. Wow, that's cheerful, said Melinda. Well, there is no turning back. I have to protect my citizens from the wrath of Archimandra. He has killed millions of my people, and I will not turn back before negotiating with him. If he does not agree to my negotiation terms, I will kill him. All right, so be it. If you're being stupid, I can't help you. Just sail towards the west, and then you will find a current known as the Karen's Current. Follow the Karen's Current, and you will reach the island of Archimandra. That is, if your boat is not destroyed, by the current. I will bid adieu. Thank you. Oh, wow, wasn't that an arrogant parrot? Well, now to get back, to the voyage, let's sail back, shall we? So as we sailed across the mighty waves, the raging thunder, the storms, everything, Melinda, with her skillfulness, she, came across all this successfully. She finally reached the island of Archimandra. As soon as he reached the eerie island of Archimandra, Archimandra arose. Who dare disrupt the slumber of the mighty Archimandra? You will feel the wrath of Archimandra. I mean, isn't he dumb? Why is he referring to himself in third person? Oh, who cut Melinda's hair? Who cooked Melinda's food? Dude, you sound dumb. But anyway, I'm here to negotiate. I know that you have killed 10,000 people. You have killed my people, and I do not abide by that. I see the good in everyone, and I know that you are not a demon. You're only manipulated by the wisp to kill people. Hence, I will give you a chance. If you stop killing people and if you stop being manipulated by the wisp, you will protect our world, and I know that. This is the first time somebody has seen the good in me, Akamindra said. I will agree to this negotiation, but I have a condition. You'll have to stay with me 10 days because I cannot trust people easily. All right, I agree with your negotiation. 10 days passed and Melinda fell in love with Akamindra. She fell in love because he was actually a good person. He had no vice in him. He was only manipulated by the wisp. Everything was going good, and it was time for the negotiation. Here comes the wisp. Hello, Akamindra. Do not believe her. Do not believe her. She is cheating you. She's actually gonna kill you. Akamindra was manipulated by the wisp. He forgot everything and he decided to invade Melinda's land. He decided to kill people. Melinda realized this. She woke up and she was forced to kill her love. She killed Akamindra. Melinda was truly a great person. She sacrificed her love for the sake of her country. But she was vulnerable at this point. And whenever somebody is vulnerable, the wisp comes. Hello, Melinda. You have killed your only love, Akamindra. Do you know what this means? Kill the people who are responsible for this. Kill the people of your land. Kill them. Thank you. That was my story.
Thank you. We move on to the next contestant, Rex Benny. Rex Benny, do we have you here?
Yes, am I visible and audible?
Yes, you are.
So, fellow Toastmasters, today I'm going to tell you about an author. So the author had just finished writing the last chapter of her book, and it was the climactic battle. Anything could have happened. And she just finished writing it. She put the pen down. She was happy. She was giddy. The ending was perfect. And so she stood up, turned her back onto her manuscript, and looked at her expecting audience, her array of potted plants, and looked at them and said, "Let me begin." So our hero is up on the roof alongside the dragon, the mightiest creature. It is said that if you're going against the dragon one-on-one, you're betting on the dragon to win. And our hero is facing such voluminous odds. This tiny underdog against this force of nature. And it's the final scene. It's the final punch. They both rush at each other. One punch to end it all. And then from nowhere, a jealous prince comes and pulls the savior, the hero, pulls him down, distracts him. And the dragon gets in a hit, a blow so lethal that it sends our hero flying off the roof. And he's gone. There's no hero anymore. He lands somewhere else, unbeknown to anyone. From down below, the king of the land sees the hero falls ever so slowly. And for a moment, he lost his heart. He knew the world, the land he had built till now, was gone in shambles. His advisor stood beside him. "King, you cannot let this pull you down. This is not what you've made up this world for. This kingdom you've made is not for you to give up. Your father and his brothers, they gave up their lives so that you could free your kingdom for once. If you're going to throw away your life, throw away after one last ditch effort. I shall join you. Let us die together, my king." The hero's crewmates looked up. They couldn't believe their eyes as the dragon came down rushing over them, spewing fire, hellfire, amongst everyone present there. No! I cannot believe this. The hero dead? No, I cannot take it. And they all cried. Some people laughed. The henchmen of the dragon, they laughed. We told your boss would win. We told he'd win. And then they went around, stabbing and killing every person they could. After all, the dragon would win. And then, out of nowhere, drums started. There came a slow marching beat, beating to the heartbeat of someone. A wise old sage, standing somewhere, proclaimed, "He is reawakened. He is here." And then we cut to our hero, lying with eyes darkened. But then for a moment, we zoom into his face and he smiles. Action, cut, scene, cut the lights. How do you like that? That's my grand ending. I've given to the editor. The author was stumped. She didn't know what to name the chapter. Well, then she looked at her plants, looked at the little anthurium over there and said, "You know what, buddy? I'll let the editor decide this." And then she left her final strokes on the paper. "Okay, editor sir, this one's up to you. To be decided." Thank you.
Thank you. We move on to the next contestant, Gautam Meghalaya Premchand.
Hello, can you see me?
Yes.
So, may I yeah, sure.
Gautam Meghalaya Premchand, The Glorious Victory.
Good evening, fellow members of today's beautiful event. Well, when the topic came on itself, you see, to tell a very out-of-the-world story that's so grand and picturesque and totally fictitious, something came to my mind, and it's a line from Arthur Conan Doyle's Sherlock Holmes, where Sherlock Holmes tells to Dr. Watson, real life is way much more interesting than science fiction at times. Reality can beat literature. And so, even though I don't usually do this, for once I think it's necessary that I tell you a story from my life. And the reason why I call it The Glorious Victory is because it's glorious to me. And it's the only time I have ever won a sports medal, that too in a group event. So let's get straight into the whole process, more than the story, and I'll tell you why. Even though I may look a bit fit for the shape, etc., I have never won an individual sports event in my whole life, except a 400-meter race, a second prize in that, and that too only because there were two people in that race. So let's forget that. So envision it, guys. It's sports day at my school. I'm in the senior most class. I'm in 12th, and I'm hanging around with my friends. It's a big, beautiful stadium. The track is fresh. The grass is glistening with the sprinkler water on it. And events are happening. Me and my friends, we are participating in all those individual events we can and we could. And we are losing all of them one by one with great courage and confidence. And then it's about to be the end of the day. It's almost 12:40 in the noon and the sun's burning down upon all of us. And I'm walking around alone this time, a bit sad. Well, not surprised, but. And then I hear something that my coach says. We don't have enough team members to make an all rally relay team for our separate house. The competition is happening between houses with different names of different gems, etc. So they don't have a relay team, an all rally relay team from our house. And being the enthusiastic person who I am, without any kind of prior experience in creating a relay team or running in one, I go forward to him and said, "Coach, give me 5 minutes and I'll bring you 4 people." Well, at first I thought it was pretty easy, you see, because all you needed was 4 people and I myself made 1. So all I had to hunt for was 3. And I knew a pretty desperate people who wanted to get on the track and couldn't because they weren't that good at the whole point. So I'm walking through my locker room in the stadium and I'm walking through the alleys, I'm walking through the spectators area and I'm trying to find people. And then I see my old friend and let's call him Aaron. And why is Aaron so good? Because anything happens, you can count on him. Whether he knows about it or not is the second thing. And I call out Aaron and I say, Aaron, would you like to run a relay race with me? And for the first time in his life, he says, no. And I'm heartbroken. And I say, come on, Aaron, you have to do this for me. And I pull him onto the track. I run and I find the other guy who's considered to be pretty fast in our team, in my batch. And I say, you have to run a race. And he says, I don't have shorts. And so me, Aaron, and this dude who didn't have shorts ran after a 10th standard kid, begged to him for 5 minutes and pulled down his shorts and used it for the second dude whom I would like to call Shakti. And then we need a third guy. And given that we couldn't find anyone else, we had to scare a 11th standard kid into joining the relay team. And it wasn't pretty hard. Aaron is a big dude, so it works. And we are on the racetrack and we are arranging ourselves. And then they tell me, none of them have ever ran a race in their whole life. And the reason Aaron didn't want to run was because he wanted to use the bathroom so badly. And then 3, 2, 1, and they rang the shot. Aaron ran with the baton. And I'll tell you, I have never seen a man run that fast. Carried it on to Shakti. Shakti took it forward and to the kid from 11th standard and finally into my hands. I ran as fast as I could. And the only time I have run before was when a dog chased me, and I was faster than that this time. And we crossed the line. And I heard it. Team Green has won first. And friends, that's the story about how a man who never ran, a kid who was scared, a dude without a short, and a man who really wanted to use the bathroom won a relay race. Grab opportunities. Grab any kind of opportunity that's out there for you. Make moments. It will be worth it. Thank you.
Thank you, contestant. We now move on to the next contestant, Sharat Jonala. Sharat Jonala, the vaccine.
Yeah, am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Okay, Namashvaya, everyone. Delighted good evening. Yeah. First of all, I want to decode the title. It's the title is the vaccine. Okay, let me first explain the story. This is a real life story, so I'll try to exaggerate it more. It is a story of my maths teacher's friend. Actually, he's a runner, so he have less time and more practice has to be done. So he's thinking, and as he's thinking, he got one magnificent idea, and that is to run on sand. Like if we generally practice on road or any field, and at the same time, instead of using that as a platform for our practice, if we use a sand or something, which is quite uncomfortable, it would be more easier to do or run in the comfortable field. So he have chosen the sand for practicing because he has less time to contest. So what he had done is he practiced on the sand. So when he practiced, the efficiency of the practice is more, and at the same time, it's time is also, and it takes less time. So yeah, the race started. Generally, he has even he has morning classes. So instead of leaving them alone, he managed both at the time. Like he attended the class. He used to sit at the corner in the class as he practices the race daily, because of some sweat, he used to sit in the corner of class. It's not like something uh, people are avoiding, but it's like he has tick so that he's sitting corner at some point in class. So he managed both at the same time. So this is the most important aspect that I want to convey in this. After that, the one day a race. One day the time has come for the race. So the race started, and my maths are also waiting for results. The race started, and everyone started running. Uh, the guy who practiced on the sand is when my sir arrived at the stadium or whatever the place, or I mean track, he's he's on the last side. I mean he's in the last position. My maths teacher saw that, and sir is quite perplexed. Why he is in the last? So he practiced a lot. Why he is in the last position? Sir is quite perplexed. But later, that when the results announced, Sir just shocked after seeing the results because he is the winner. Here, one thing I want to tell: he's second. He appeared last because the people in front of him are just in one lap, but he's in second lap. As he is in the second lap, and my teacher came in middle to watch that, he couldn't figure out, and he's quite confused. So by this, I want to one other thing I want to tell is we cannot judge the situation exactly when we see. Sometimes it has some happened things. So this is the story, actually, a real story. I tried to exaggerate it, but I couldn't do more than this. Getting a magnificent idea at the point of time, and smart hard work, time efficiency thing, and these are all the things that I want to convey in this. Namaskar. Thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you. A short note to the judge. Contestant Tushar with contestant ID 13 will be has swapped his slots and will be presenting now. Do we have Tushar here?
Yeah. Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Okay. So can I go ahead?
Yeah, you can go ahead.
Okay. Good evening to one present here. So my title is about a superhero. So on a breezy evening, I was comfortably seated beside my room window, completely engrossed in reading a book, when I suddenly felt something weird, like someone was sitting across me. Oh my god, it was Dobby from Harry Potter. I was so taken aback that I almost fell out of the window. I was trying to catch my breath as I couldn't believe that a fictional character was sitting beside me with stern eyes looking at me. Dobby was exactly the same way as I imagined it in my head. That was really ridiculous. Finally, after a couple of minutes, I mastered my courage to talk to him. And before I could say anything, Dobby said, Master, James Potter is waiting to see you. I was so taken aback by this statement because honestly, I wasn't sure what was happening around. I thought it was a dream and I pinched myself. The only result was that my skin turned pink. And Dobby started walking to the corner of the room, which I found really funny because elf walking, like for me, it was like really funny. And then he threw up a powder and he called me in, which I later realized it was flu powder. While I was working all these things in my head, I landed in a mansion, and it was so strange because that mansion had a eerie kind of atmosphere. I was in a room filled with alcohol bottles, and Estoya rock music was blasting. And I'm a huge Estoya rock band fan. I listen to Nirvana and Green Day all the time. So I liked it, and I started exploring the room. And Dobby was nowhere to be seen. I was also perplexed about the situation. But as I went inside, I saw a man playing video games with his cat in the sofa. I looked around and went near him, and I was really astonished. It was actor Vijay. And yeah, it was really shocking because I didn't know why all these things were happening to me. It was kind of stupid, but I thought maybe there's a purpose. And as usual, I was like in my fanboy zone. I was like looking at him, adoring him. And then I went near him and I thought I'll ask him for a picture. And before I could do that, he took a glass and poured alcohol into it and started drinking. And after that, when I went near him and asked for a picture, he said, "Yeah, let's take one." And when I was taking a picture, I got a call from my mom. I cut the call because I didn't know whether I'll get this opportunity again to take a picture with him. And then again, my mom called. I was really triggered. I was really agitated. I took my phone and I started shouting at my mom. And when he heard this, he came to me and he said, "You shouldn't do this because at least there is someone to care for you. There is nobody to care for me. Look, I'm just drinking and passing away my time. The only thing which returns my affection and care is my cat, and I still don't know why you guys are not showing respect for your valuable things and family." When he was doing this, Dobby came near me and pulled me into a black hole kind of thing, and it took me to a swimming pool kind of place where a character was sitting across the pool. I went near him and I asked, "No, what are you doing?" Because he was in a he was about to cry, and I wanted to calm him down. When he turned around, it was Ranbir Kapoor. I was really perplexed, why all of this is happening to me. But still, I asked him. He said, "I couldn't even make it to my dad's funeral because I was chasing my dreams. What can I do?" And after hearing these words again, Dobby came. He pulled me around, and he went, and I reached a sort of a house, and a granddad was sitting there, and he was looking at his family photo. When I went near him, I saw in that family photo, all were physically present except a guy whose caricature was alone present. I asked him what was the issue. He said, "My dream was to actually invite my whole family over and take a final family picture before my death, but unfortunately my son died due to the differences this family had." By this time, Dobby was nowhere to be seen, and a kind of realm opened near me. I went inside and I saw that a darkness was pulling me inside that realm. Finally, a guy stood in front of me and gave me a hand, and my hand was so heavy I can't even lift to stand up to that man. But when I finally did, it was actually my dad who lifted me up, and he said, "Son, I'll be there for you in like whatever time you want me to be here. I have my own relationship differences, but still I'll be there for you, acting as a shield." At this time, I finally figured out that this was all happening because my mom and dad are actually separated, and I miss my dad so much during lockdown. And Dobby was actually my conscience, and the characters I met, whether it be JD or Bunny from Ejavani Adivani or the granddad, were actually my family members. So I guess all of you guys will go on to this journey to find about your dad, who's a superhero, and never ever neglect your family members in life. And yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. We now have one last contestant for the Tall Tales contest, Sahil Kandewal. Sahil Kandewal,
Yeah, sure.
yeah. Treasures and Tricks. Treasures and Tricks, Sahil Kandewal.
Uh, Hey, I'm Sahil, and I'll be telling my story. So, while the gold's existence hasn't been dismissed by many experts, that hasn't stopped the treasure hunters from around the world to visit the city of Ra in search of buried gold. It was almost as if the treasure had captivated the days and the dreams of its hunters. All they had to do was find the clues scattered all over the city and solve them to reach the hidden tomb of Ra the Third. Pretty straightforward, right? But all except one silly little catch. The spirits guarding the pharaoh's tomb happened to be overwhelmingly underwhelmed. They were trapped in that tomb for all eternity, bound by their sacred duty to protect the pharaoh and his treasures from any harm whatsoever. And as we all know quite well, being shut in a room for days without end can be pretty depressing, which is to say that the spirits were the most insufferable, mean, and tricky souls to have ever existed. anyone who managed to find the tomb had the spirits to deal with. Legend says that those who enter the tomb never leave it quite the same. The locals rightly believe the place to be cursed. But here's where things get interesting. The curse is different every single time. In the early days, it was death. Death by poison, death by accident, death by combat, a variety of deaths, sure. But ultimately, whoever got too close to the treasure died. Then days went by, years went by, and centuries rolled away. The spirits got sort of bored with death. After all, they had to have some sort of executive control over, well, executions, right? That's when they began to diversify their portfolio, and now things seem to run pretty smooth. Now, let's get back to the present. Here we have an ambitious 18-year-old named Sameer, whose ambition is to become an influencer. He wants to rule the world of social media and bank on what he believes to be his amazing personality. He gets to know about the treasure in the city of Ra. He figures it's a solid way to forever fix his position in the industry. He would be known as the guy who braved everything and conquered destiny. Not surprisingly, destiny refused to be influenced. Now, Samir reaches the city and starts to follow the trail of the treasure based on the wisdom passed down by the generations. His views have started reaching astronomical numbers, and he's on this way to becoming a star. This quest is getting him everything he ever wanted, but the last stage is yet to be crossed. The treasure is yet to be found. Fueled by his vanity and his lust for fame, he finally succeeds to locate the tomb. Then he proceeds to search for the treasure, right? It's all pitch black. His camera no longer works, and he finds himself at the mercy of the notorious spirits. The world hasn't heard of the boy wonder Sameer ever since. After several international investigations, the reports say that Sameer has turned into quite an introvert. He now spends his days alone, cursed forever, to become an avid consumer of the new wave French cinema, who watches deeply introspective art house films of Eric Romer and Jean-Luc Godard. He's doomed to be a miserable chain smoker and constantly thinks about the meaning of life like a hopeless man. Needless to say, no one has dared to enter that tomb ever again. Thank you. Yeah, that's it.
Thank you so much, contestants, for your very enthusiastic participation. We've now come to the end of the contest, and I declare the Tall Tales contest closed. Thank you, everyone, and I hand over the control back to the contest chair. Over to you, Toastmaster Hari Prashant.
A big kudos to the contest masters, Toastmaster Kaushalya and Toastmaster Malavika, for effectively conducting the contest. Let's wait for a minute for the judges to choose the winners.
Toastmaster Hari Prashant, we have the results for table topics ready. Why don't we start with that? Meanwhile, for Tall Tales, it gets ready.
Sure, Toastmaster Bhavesh. Now I call upon Toastmaster Gautami to announce the winners for the table topics contest. Over to you, Toastmaster Gautami. Toastmaster Gautami, are you there?
Am I audible and visible? I hope I am.
Yes, you are.
Okay. Thank you, Toastmaster Hari Prashant. And while listening to the table topics, I just want to say that it was very hard for me to decide. I was going through the criteria, I was listening to the speeches, and all I could think of majority of the time was, how am I going to judge this? Because all speeches were very good, and I had a hard time listening to them and trying to condense them into marks within these criteria. So here are the results. In third place, we have ATC 40, Deekshita S.
Thank you, guys.
Second place is actually shared by two people. We have ATC 32, Diti Nagonkar, I hope I am pronouncing that name correctly, and ATC 21, Gautam Meghalaya Premchand. Congratulations to you two guys.
Thank you so much.
Thank you guys. Thank you.
And in first place, the long-awaited thing, we have ATC 11, Ashrit Mantha. Congratulations to all the winners and congratulations to all those who participated as well. I loved hearing all of your speeches. It definitely gave me a lot to think about. So congratulations and over to Toastmaster Hari Prashant.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Toastmaster Gautami. Shubha ma'am, are the results ready?
Yes, I have actually sent the results to the tally counter. Do I go straight or do I give my comments on the whole thing?
Just a second, I'll be sending it.
Yes, I'll wait. Before that, I would like to share what I felt about this particular thing. Congratulations! I think the 21 batch has been going through this Toastmasters for quite some time. I could see the confidence contrary to 2020 batch where I sat for the first time. So as it goes, the whole Tall Tales is about creativity in a very restricted time. Where you need to persuade the audience to like your story. So it's a very rare combination. But the only the thing which is very positive about this, or one thing which is good about this, is you get time to do the script. So you can definitely plan. You know it very well. So bringing the clarity and conciseness in the whole script is the actual work to be done in terms of Tall Tales. Presentation and all, it was perfect. Most of them were good, and there are a little bit of tips which always I give to the students when you speak. You have to ensure that your last word is heard. So truncation of sentences happen a couple of times. Maybe that's something which that a particular word might carry weightage for the whole story. So if you truncate that, and being in online mode, sometimes we with all the audio problems and all, we're not able to hear it. So a finishing doesn't come there. And anyway, I totally enjoyed this session because I think I was in a fantasy land. I heard stories of all sorts, and Tall Tales being Tall Tales, where you're supposed to speak about fantasy and how you see things. It was that. So just take these small cues, wherein when you have time for the script, ensure that your timing is met properly so that you can pace out the sentences. You have lots of time to edit and work, and how you present it. Do it yourself, as everybody says a couple of times and all. And I could see some few people reading from the script, which I cannot. I mean, I did not take it too seriously, but maybe we could have avoided that. It was like reading out. It was so obvious that I'm seeing a newsreader reading a script, though there were, expressions and things coming in. So a few points which I noted were these in the whole session. So is the result ready?
You can announce the results, ma'am.
Yeah.
I've sent it, ma'am.
You've sent it? Yeah, 1 second. Yeah. The third place in table topics goes to Madhav Harikumar, ATC 08. Congrats. Second place goes to ATC 11, Ashrit Mantha. And first place to the Kentucky guy, ATC 9, Armand Mahapatra.
Thank you very much.
Right, yeah. So congratulations all of you, and hoping to see you all in more such contests and enjoying Toastmasters and building your self-confidence and leadership and your presentation skills. Thank you. Good luck to you all.
Thank you, ma'am. Congratulations to all the winners and participants. We will send a link in the chat box now. Those who wish to attend our club meetings can join in that link. I can assure that meetings will be awesome and you'll get a chance to speak on lots of fun topics. Now it's time for vote of thanks. A very good evening to all. It gives me an immense pleasure to deliver the vote of thanks for the Pick It Up contest, heading to all the dignitaries present here. I would like to thank our judges, Mrs. Shubha Menon ma'am and Toastmaster Gautami, who allocated their time for us. We are grateful for our faculty coordinator Ritvik sir for guiding us throughout the process. My heartfelt thanks to the university management and Office of Students Welfare for supporting us in setting up such a pleasant environment for the students. I thank all our role players for carrying the meeting forward in a very smooth manner. Last but not the least, I would like to thank all the participants who made this evening a successful one. Thank you so much for making this day so memorable. Thank you. With this, we come to the end of Pick It Up contest, and hereby I officially adjourn the contest.
I would request all to turn your cameras on so that we can take a group photo. And yes, to join, we'll be sharing a common WhatsApp link that you can join, where we'll update you on the various club activities that is happening. We'll post the information on the WhatsApp group, Pick It Up WhatsApp group that you were part of. All right. Others, it'll be great if you guys can turn your cameras on. Yeah. Thank you all. The screenshot was taken. I really enjoyed the contest, and I hope you guys did too. If you guys have any other feedback or comments to add on, feel free to pass it on right now, or you can always text on the WhatsApp so that we can have more, chatting on that. So with this, the club contest is officially closed. Feel free to network or feel free to disconnect.
Hi, I'm Ashok. Good evening to you. I'd like to thank the team for such a wonderful event. I was part of this event last year also, and I'm really happy to say that it's just as fun as last year, just as explorative, just as uh, interactive. But thank you so much. Kudos to the team and the judges also. Good day, ma'am.
Hi, this is Mohit. I really enjoy participating, and I really get to know about everybody, and it's a very wonderful moment, and it just feels that the time just goes like that. It's a wonderful experience.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Mohit.
Ashit.
I'm glad you had a fun time.
Hi, this is Armand. Well, I joined the Tall Tales because I love saying stories about fantasy and ghost. I'm really glad I got a platform with a good audience to, showcase this talent, and I really look forward to it even the next year.
You can do it, throughout the year by becoming part of the club, part of the Toastmasters club. So we'll post more information regarding the membership process, and you can also attend the upcoming weekend meetings. We have meetings at every weekend. You can participate, explore more, and if you're interested, you can become a member too.
Yes, I'm actually interested in this club. I even gave it in my admission form.
That's great. So we will initiate the membership process within the next few days. You can apply to it and become a part of the club.
Yeah, thank you very much.
I would love to join you. As in, is there a particular procedure, or will you let us know about it?
We will let you. Yes, there is a particular procedure, and we'll let you know through the WhatsApp group. That is the Pick It Up WhatsApp group.
Okay, thank you so much.
Sure. Thanks a lot, ma'am, to come and judge the contest among your busy schedule.
It's always my pleasure to be here. Thank you.
To the juniors who don't know, Shubha ma'am is the traditional judge for Pick It Up contest. She comes in every year, and she's amazingly fun to join in meetings.
Thank you, Bhavesh.
Yes. Thank you, ma'am. There was someone asking something, right? Please feel free to ask.
No, I was just saying, thank you for the opportunity to present my ideas further, giving me an opportunity to just, express myself. Yeah, so this was a wonderful event. Thank you for coordinating it. Looking forward to next year as well. So, yeah.
Thank you, Rahul.
Yeah.
Hi, sir. Ritvik sir, are you here? You're on mute, sir. I mean, if you're talking.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Now we are on.
Yeah. Nice work. I'm glad to see the whole set going on quite smoothly. I do hope the recording is off.
Oh, yeah. We got it.